pin registration set up for screen printing. So I'm going to be showing you how to prep your paper for pin registration for silkscreen. So I've got my hole punch, my paper, my pins put into a strip. So to make the pin strip, what I'm going to do is cut down aluminum photolitho plate, an old scrap one, to 1.5 inches by 12 inches, which can be done with scissors. It can be done with a plate shear or a paper shear like I'm using here. I use the old photo plates because they're a little bit thinner, but you could also use old ball grained litho plates as well. So here I'm just measuring and cutting down to make sure that the strip is the size I want. And then I'm going to mark center on that strip. I'm marking center so that I can see where it is feeding into the hole punch to make sure that it's I'm punching right down the middle. So once I have that all marked, then I'm going to punch through with a heavy duty hole punch, which is going to be the same hole punch that I used to punch my paper. So you can see I'm lining up that center mark with a little notch in the middle of the hole punch itself. Make sure I push the strip all the way against the back and then just punch right through. So now I have my strip, so I'm going to go ahead and place in my registration pins. They are registration pins from Tackage Press. So I go ahead and push those pins through the holes, and then I want to tape the back side of the hole so that the pin doesn't just fall out, which you can see that one just did. So this one single piece of tape will just kind of hold it in place. Because I'm using silkscreen and I don't want any sharp edges on the plate, because if I'm pulling a squeegee over across that, it could rip the screen. I want to just tape over those cut edges with some blue tape to make sure I don't have anything that's really sharp and really crisp, so that when it sits under the screen it doesn't risk puncturing it. Okay, so I've got my pin strip, and so now all my paper is already torn down, so I have my sheets torn down to the size of my edition, however many I'm printing. And now I need to also mark my paper and get it ready for the pins themselves. So I'm going to go ahead and start by stacking the paper, and then I'm going to mark the center of the sheet. So I have 11 by 15 sheets of paper here. So I'm going to mark these at 5.5. And then I'm going to draw a line all the way down the middle. This is the same line that I'm going to use to be able to see underneath the hole punch that I did with the pin strip. So then I'm going to take my hole punch, whatever hole punch you're using, and then make sure to mark where the other two punch lines would land on the paper. And I need to know this because I'm going to be reinforcing the areas where the pins are going to be going on to the paper with tape, so that as I'm pulling the pins on, or the paper on and off the pins, the holes don't stretch out too much. So I'm using tape to reinforce the paper, just blue tape, scotch tape, anything that masking tape, anything that works. You just want to make sure that the tape is thin enough so that however much paper you're planning on tearing off at the end, you don't have paper hanging over the edge to the other bits of the area that wasn't torn. We don't want any tape lingering around. So after that, I can just push the paper in, make sure I butt both ends up against the back, make sure it's in there snug, and then I just punch through all my sheets of paper. And so now you can see that because I use the same hole punch, these sheets will fit on the pins all in the same spot every single time, which will make registration much easier when I actually get to the press. And so just seeing this in use, you'll see that what I would do is I'd pull a proof onto Mylar. I would line up image underneath of that. I'm using a vacuum table here, so once I have everything lined up, I would turn on my vacuum. With the vacuum still on, put the pins underneath and tape the pins down. Secure that. And then pull the image, and I have crisp registration. I don't have to register each sheet because they're all punched in the same spot. And that's the pin registration setup.